My name is Danielle Shen, and I'm 31 years old. The night my boyfriend told me, "We're not that serious," something invisible inside me folded up her apron, walked out of the kitchen of my life, and closed the door behind her. The wild part is, he said it like he was explaining weather. No malice, no drama. Just a fact. Apparently, like I'd somehow imagined the whole thing, the moved-in boxes, the Christmas, with his parents, the shared rent and utilities, and late-night grocery runs where we argued over which pasta sauce to buy. We were sitting in this little Italian place near our apartment, the kind with chipped candles and an espresso machine that hissed like it was offended by everything. We'd been going there almost since the beginning. It was our spot. That night, it stopped being ours. Mason's phone buzzed on the table between us. I didn't think much of it until I saw the yellow icon, before he flipped the screen face down a little too fast. Bumble. My heartbeat stuttered. Did I just see Bumble? I asked, keeping my voice soft, almost amused. Maybe there was a reasonable explanation. Maybe he downloaded it as a joke. Maybe. He actually laughed. Yeah, he said, like I'd asked if he still had Instagram. Relax. Dani. It's not that deep. 18 months together. 8 months, living in a decent 2-bedroom. Splitting rent. Utilities. Groceries. My mother asking when he was going to make an honest woman out of me. His mom asking what colors I liked for future wedding planning. Just in case. All of that apparently not that deep. You still have dating apps? I asked, my fingers tightening around my water glass. Mason rolled his eyes and took a sip of wine. Chianti. Because he'd read once that red wine made you look sophisticated and clung to it like a personality trait. It's just for fun, he said. Window shopping. Window shopping, I repeated. While you're in a relationship. He shrugged. Why would I delete my dating apps? We're not that serious. Dani. We're just living together to save money. You're acting like I proposed or something. Don't be so possessive. The word possessive landed like a slap I didn't get to react to. I'd introduced him to my entire family. He'd spent Christmas curled up on my parents' couch in ridiculous penguin pajamas my mom bought him. I deleted my apps 3 months in. After the night he told me, wine-drunk and earnest, I could see a future with you. Apparently, the future had an asterisk. So just to be clear, I said slowly, you think keeping active dating profiles while we live together is normal? God, you're so traditional. He pushed his curls off his forehead and gave me that exasperated smile he used when he thought I was being cute but ridiculous. Everyone does it. It doesn't mean anything. I'm not meeting anybody. I just like seeing who's out there. The version of me that still believed we were on the same page wanted to argue, to cry, to demand he pick us or the apps. The version of me that quietly took off her apron that night just nodded. Good point, I said. He blinked, surprised that I wasn't exploding. The rest of dinner was a strange pantomime. I laughed in the right places. He complained about his boss, about traffic, about his fantasy football league. I paid attention to how often his phone lit up. When the check came, I insisted on splitting it. He looked confused but didn't argue. We walked back to our apartment. He kissed my forehead at the door and went straight to the bedroom, muttering something about an early meeting. I stayed in the living room, sitting on the edge of our thrift store couch with my coat still on. If we weren't that serious after 18 months of my commitment, what exactly was I doing? I watched the city flicker outside our third-floor window for a long time. Then I pulled out my phone. I hadn't seen the Tinder, Bumble, or Hinge icons in over a year. My thumb hesitated over the App Store like it was hovering over a launch button. Fine. I thought, if this is the game, I can play too. I re-downloaded all 3 within an hour. My phone turned into a slot machine. Matches. Likes. Heart emojis. Men I didn't know, trying to look casual in gym mirrors, or holding fish like trophies. I swiped left more than right. Not really interested in anyone. Just taking inventory of what my life could look like if I wasn't not that serious with a man who thought I was a roommate with benefits. Then I saw him, Noah Rodriguez. Archelaeu, same last name as Mason. I stared at the screen, my chest tightening. Noah was Mason's younger brother. The funny one. The one who cracked jokes at family dinners and actually listened when I talked about my job. He liked the same shows I binge-watched. In the same games I played on my laptop when Mason rolled his eyes and called them nerd stuff. Noah had super liked me on Bumble. For a full minute. I just stared at his face on my screen, so familiar, and yet suddenly on different. Not just my boyfriend's kid brother, but a man who had actively chosen me. Maybe it was petty. Maybe it was insane. Maybe it was both. I matched back. The message came instantly. Noah. Oh. Danielle, what are you doing on here? I swallowed. Fingers hovering over the keyboard. Then I typed, me. Same thing your brother's doing. Apparently, we're not that serious. So, I'm keeping my options open. The typing bubble popped up, disappeared, then came back. Noah, he actually said that to you. I stared at the message, feeling something bitter and sharp rise in my throat. Me. Over lasagna and Chianti. Dating apps are just window shopping. Everyone does it. We're just living together to save money. A beat. Noah, that's messed up. He told us you two were basically engaged already. I laughed out loud. It sounded strange in the quiet apartment. Me news to me. Noah, I thought your profiles were old. Mel, sorry. Mason told the whole family you were all in and deleted everything. Wow. Just, wow. I leaned back, letting my head rest on the couch. Me, I was all in. Past Tinze. He took a moment before replying. Noah, this is weird. We should probably unmatch the responsible version of me. The one who color-coded spreadsheets and scheduled dentist appointments on time. Agreed. Me, probably. There was a pause. Noah. Unless I stared at the single word, feeling my pulse in my fingertips. Me kidding. Noah, unless we at least talk. I feel like I just walked into a movie halfway through, and I'm rooting for the wrong character. I snorted. Me, don't worry. The character development's terrible. We talked for 3 hours. It started with the situation how long Mason had kept the apps. The we're not that serious bomb. The way he'd acted, like I was crazy for caring. Then it drifted into safer territory. Our favorite games. The show we were both secretly watching, but hadn't admitted to the family because everyone else made fun of it. The fact that we both hated olives, but pretended to like them because Gloria put them in everything. At one point, Noah said, for what it's worth, you deserved better than my brother's half-commitment. He's been bragging about you like you're his forever person. My chest ached. Me forever is hard to take seriously from someone who won't even delete an app. He sent a sad face emoji. Then, Noah, Sunday dinner is going to be Interesting. I frowned at the phone. Me Sunday dinner. Noah? Yeah. At my parents' place. Mason told Mom yesterday you're both coming. She's making lasagna and already stressing about the table settings. Mason hadn't said a word to me. Of course he hadn't. Me. No one told me. Noah classic. You should still come. Me, why? So I can smile and pretend everything's fine, while your brother swipes on strangers under the table. I could almost see Noah's grimace. Noah, or, so we can stop pretending. My fingers hovered, then typed before my brain caught up. Me, you're suggesting we blow it up at family dinner. Noah, I'm suggesting honesty, with a side of chaos. He doesn't get to write the whole story and cast you as the crazy girlfriend. I stared at that line for a long time. Honesty. Chaos. I'd been playing calm, reasonable, understanding for a year and a half. Where had that gotten me? Me, your mom is going to kill us. Noah, she likes you more than him most days. You'll be fine. A beat. Then, Noah also. I'm wearing that blue shirt, you said. Looked good on me at Christmas. Heat crept up my neck. I remembered that shirt. I remembered saying it too, casually. Like an afterthought. Because anything more would have been inappropriate. Me, dangerous choice. Noah, oh. So, we're doing dangerous now. I smiled. Really smiled. For the first time since dinner. Somewhere down the hall. Mason snored softly. Completely unaware that the life he thought he'd put on layaway just shifted underneath him. Not that serious. I whispered into the dark. Fine. Let's see how serious it feels when the entire family hears those words. Sunday came faster than I thought it would. By late afternoon, the apartment smelled like hairspray and expensive cologne. Mason spent almost 2 hours getting ready, trying on different shirts before settling on the one I'd bought him for his birthday. A designer thing he'd insisted on. $300, I'd told myself, was an investment in our future. Funny. How that word kept showing up in all the wrong places. How do I look, he asked. Smoothing the fabric and checking himself in the hallway mirror. Good, I said. Because he did. Because he always did. Because none of this was about how he looked. You, too. He glanced at my dress. Then at his phone. Mom's going to be thrilled you're finally wearing that. He meant the navy wrap dress Gloria had complimented last month when we went over for brunch. I'd bought it on sale and saved it for something special. I wasn't sure what special meant anymore. The drive to his parents' house was painfully normal. He talked about his fantasy league, complained about a coworker, scrolled through his phone at red lights. At one stop, I saw the Hinge notification banner flash briefly before he swiped it away with a practiced thumb. Everything. Okay, I asked. Yeah. Work stuff. He lied easily. By the time we pulled up in front of the Rodriguez house at 545, I felt like I'd been split in two. The Danielle who'd been coming here for over a year, and the Danielle who knew this might be the last time. Gloria opened the door with her usual warmth. Donnie. Sweetheart. She pulled me into a hug that smelled like garlic. Perfume. And comfort. You look beautiful. Mason. You clean up, okay? I guess. Love you too. Mom, he said, kissing her cheek. Frank shook my hand with his usual two-pump grip. Good to see you. Kiddo. Good to see you too, I said, my throat tight. Then I saw him. Noah was in the living room, leaning against the doorway, hands in his pockets. And yes, he was wearing the blue shirt. It hit differently now, the way it fit his shoulders. The open collar. The way his eyes found mine and flicked quickly away like we shared a secret neither of us had asked for. Daniel, he said, walking over. Wow. Hey. He hugged me quick. Varm? Just a second too long to be nothing. His cologne was different than Mason's. Softer. Less performative. Hey, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Mason clapped him on the back. Look at you. Finally on time, for something. Trying out this new thing called responsibility. Noah said. His eyes slid to mine for a moment. An unspoken, "Are you okay?" hanging between us. We settled into the living room. Gloria fussed over appetizers. Frank asked about my job. Mason held court with a story about his boss. Performing irritation, like a stand-up bit. All the normal rhythms of a family Sunday. Except, my skin buzzed, like there was a live wire under it. Dinner was Gloria's famous lasagna. Garlic bread. A salad. No one really wanted, but took out of politeness. We sat around the table, Gloria at one end, Frank at the other, Mason beside me, Noah across from me. Tony, Mason's older brother, running late as usual. We were halfway through the first plate when Noah cleared his throat. So, he said lightly, I saw something super weird on Thursday. Mason laughed. What? Your reflection. Gloria swatted him with her napkin. Been nice. Noah smiled. But his eyes stayed on Mason. No. I mean, you were on Bumble. The air went still. Mason's fork paused halfway to his mouth. Gloria frowned. Bumble? Isn't that a dating app? It is, Noah said, putting his glass down. Weird. Right, since Mason's been with Danielle for, what? Almost 2 years now. I looked at my plate. Tracing the edge with my fork, Mason let out a short, nervous laugh. That must be an old profile. You know how those apps are? They keep your stuff up forever. No, Noah said, pulling out his phone with infuriating calm. It said, active, today. Se. He angled the screen toward the table. There it was. Mason's profile. Recent photos. One from the beach trip I'd paid for. A status updated a month ago. Gloria's face crumpled. Mason. Frank's jaw flexed. Is this a joke? It's nothing, Mason said quickly. I just never deleted it. It doesn't mean anything. I told Danny it's just for fun. Gloria turned to me. Eyes. Searching. You knew about this. I took a breath. It felt like stepping off a ledge. I found out Tuesday, I said quietly. When we were at dinner, Mason told me we're not that serious. That it's normal to keep dating apps when you're living with someone. The words hung there. Ugly and heavy. Gloria's voice sharpened. Not that serious. You're living together. Frank's hand hit the table harder than he meant to. The silverware rattled. Mason Alexander Rodriguez. What is wrong with you? You're all overreacting. Mason snapped. His easy charm evaporated, replaced by defensive irritation. It's 2025. People don't delete apps just because they're in a relationship. Actually, Noah cut in. Normal people do. Mason glared at him. Stay out of it. Man, kind of heart. Noah said mildly. Since you're dragging my family into your mess. Gloria rubbed her temples. I don't understand. You told us Danielle was serious. You had us thinking I was serious. I said, he wasn't Silence. Just the ticking of the kitchen clock and the distant hum of traffic outside. Noah cleared his throat again. And this time there was something almost wicked in his eyes. Also, he added, Mason, you might want to know. Danielle and I matched on Bumble. If the table had been simmering before, this was the lid blowing off. Mason's face went from pink to white to a furious blanchirette. Gloria's hand flew to her mouth. Frank muttered something under his breath that sounded suspiciously like a prayer. What Mason exploded. Pushing back from the table so fast, his chair screeched against the floor. Technically, Noah said, utterly unapologetic, I super liked her first. I stayed very still. My fingers laced together under the table, so no one could see they were shaking. You matched with my brother Mason, shouted at me. You stayed on 3 dating apps for our entire relationship. I said quietly. I re-downloaded mine for 3 days. You called it window shopping. I followed your rules. That's different. He snapped. How, I asked? Because you decided it just is. His voice cracked with fury. You don't match with my family. That's insane. Noah snorted. So, matching with strangers is fine. But your girlfriend matching with someone who actually knows what you're doing is where you draw the line. Interesting ethics. Bro. Shut up. Noah. Mason snarled. This is between me and Danielle. Actually, Frank said, speaking up for the first time in a while. This is between you and your complete lack of respect. Everyone turned to look at him. Frank set his fork down carefully. Danielle, I'm sorry you've wasted 18 months on my son. Dad Mason barked. Frank's gaze didn't waver. We raised you better than this. This young woman has been nothing but good to you. She helped with your rent. She planned holidays. She's been at every family event. Helping your mother in the kitchen. And you're on dating apps, keeping your options open, like she's some temporary subscription. Gloria's eyes were shiny with tears. Mason, this is disgusting. I'm ashamed. Mason's voice dropped, low and desperate. You're all just taking her side. There aren't sides, Gloria said, her voice cracking. There's just right and wrong. Danny's not some random girl. Frank added, she's family. Or she could have been, if you didn't torch it. Mason turned to me. Eyes wild. Say something. I met his Chaza. This was the part of the movie where the heroine begs, where she tries to salvage something from the wreckage. I didn't feel like a heroine. I felt done. You told me we're not that serious. I said. You made your position very clear. So I adjusted mine. You can't just, I can. I said. And I am. His chair toppled when he stood up. We're leaving. Now. I picked up my fork and took another bite of lasagna. It was, annoyingly, excellent. I'm not leaving. I said, and my voice didn't shake this time. You can call an Uber. You drove me here. He spat. We're not that serious. I repeated softly. You'll figure it out. He looked around the table, searching for backup. No one moved. Noah stared at his plate. Gloria stared at her hands. Frank just shook his head. Mason let out a raw sound, somewhere between a laugh and a growl, then grabbed his coat and stormed out. Slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows, we sat in the echo. After a long moment, Noah exhaled. So, anyone want to see our Bumble conversation? It's pretty funny. Noah, Gloria said weakly. Not now. Frank poured himself more wine, then looked at me. Are you okay? Kiddo. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to be the unbothered queen the internet always talks about. Instead, I told the truth. I will be. I said, just not tonight. Gloria reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You don't have to go home to that. I know. I said, I'm going home to my apartment. He's the one who needs to find a new place. They exchanged a look that somehow held both pain and approval. Later. After the dishes were done, and we'd played a half-hearted game of cards to pretend things were normal, Noah walked me out to my car. The evening air was cool, biting at the back of my throat. That was intense. He said, that's one word for it. He shoved his hands in his pockets. For what it's worth, I didn't super like you to cause drama. I mean, I figured it had to be a mistake. And then when you matched back? He trailed off, cheeks flushing in the dim porch light. I know, I said. This whole thing is messy. He nodded. Yeah. But you didn't deserve to be treated like a placeholder. Not by him. Not by anybody. Something in my chest loosened. He pulled out a small piece of paper, folded in half. Look. This is my actual number. No apps. No screenshots. No receipts. I'm not saying anything needs to happen. But maybe in a few months? When the fallout stops triggering earthquake alerts, we could get coffee. As friends first. Obviously. I took the paper. It felt heavier than it should have. Maybe. I said. Let me deal with the rubble first. He smiled. Soft and crooked. Fair. He hesitated. Then added, and Danielle, whatever story Mason tells himself about tonight, you weren't crazy. You were right. I slipped the paper into my purse. For the first time, in a long time, I believed it. By the time I got home that night, the apartment felt like a stranger's place. His shoes by the door, his jacket thrown over the chair, the faint smell of his cologne still clinging to the air. Cheap and overconfident. Like him, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on the couch, staring at the muted TV. I wasn't angry anymore. Not really. Anger burns fast. What was left was quieter, something closer to clarity. He came home around midnight. The front door opened with a soft click, like he was sneaking into his own life. Daniel, he said. Voice, careful. Testing the air. I didn't turn around. Rough night, I asked. He dropped his keys on the counter. You ambushed me in front of my family. I didn't say anything that wasn't true. You humiliated me. You humiliated yourself. I said, I just stopped covering for you. He exhaled through his nose. Sharp and ugly. You think you're some saint. You matched with my brother. I finally turned to look at him. After you told me we weren't serious. After I found out you'd been on dating apps for 18 months. You want to talk about betrayal, try looking in a mirror. That was different. How? It just was. That's not an argument. Mason. That's a toddler having a tantrum. His eyes narrowed. So what? You're done. Just like that. Yeah. I said softly. Just like that. He stared at me for a long time. His face working through disbelief, guilt, and something else, fear. Maybe. I made a mistake. No. I said. You made 18 months of choices that all said the same thing. I matter more than we do. He raked his hands through his hair. Pacing. You're overreacting. It didn't mean anything. I set the wine glass down carefully. You don't get to decide what hurts me. You don't get to write both parts of the story. He stopped pacing. So what now? You move out? His jaw dropped. What? You heard me. You can stay at Tony's until you find a place. You have a week? He laughed. But it wasn't funny. You can't just... I can. I said, standing up. The lease is in my name. You pay utilities through my account. I already changed the passwords. For a moment, he looked like he didn't recognize me. Maybe he didn't. Maybe this was the first time he'd seen the version of me that didn't beg to be chosen. You're really doing this, he said finally. Yes. He gave a low, disbelieving laugh. You'll regret this. You'll realize no one will ever love you like I did. I smiled. That's exactly what I'm counting on. He stormed into the bedroom, slamming the door. The next morning, he was gone by 7. Left a note on the counter that said, I'll be back for my stuff. I folded it once and dropped it in the trash. By noon, I'd done what I always do when I'm spiraling. I made a list. Rent. Utilities. Change locks. Notify management. Update friends. And, at the bottom, underlined twice, control the narrative. Because I knew him, I knew the way he'd spin this. Crazy. Controlling. Overreacting. Danielle, who blew up over nothing. Not this time. I opened my group chat, our shared friend circle, and typed, Danielle, just for your information. Mason and I broke up. Long story short, he's been on dating apps for 18 months while we lived together. Said we weren't that serious. Attaching screenshots before rumors start, I hit send. My phone buzzed nonstop for an hour. Sophie, what? Ethan, holy hell. Dani. He told me you were planning a trip together. Maria, team Danielle, all the way. That's messed up. Lena, girl. You dodged a bullet, even Mason's best friend. Jordan. Texted privately. Jordan. I told him to delete those apps months ago. Guess he never did. Sorry. Dani. You deserved better. The relief was almost physical. Like exhaling after months of holding my breath. That night. He called. He let it ring. Then, ring again. Then again. 23 missed calls. 3 voicemails. The first one, tearful apologies. The second shouting. The third quiet fury. You're destroying my reputation. You think people won't see what you're doing. You'll regret this. I blocked his number. 2 days later, my building manager called. Ms. Hien. There's someone here trying to get into your apartment. Says his name is Mason Rodriguez. I took a slow breath. He's not on the lease. Don't let him in. Yes. Mom. I hung up, shaking. Then texted the manager a follow-up. Please make a note. Ex-boyfriend. Not authorized. And that was that. Except, of course, it wasn't. Wednesday afternoon. My phone started buzzing with notifications. Mason Rodriguez posted a new story. Mason Rodriguez. Sometimes you give everything to a person, and they still betray you. Mason Rodriguez. Some people don't understand loyalty. He tagged it with a black heart and a sad song lyric. I almost laughed. Then the comments started rolling in. Maria, she didn't cheat. Mason, Jordan dude. Stop embarrassing yourself. Sophie, maybe don't be on dating apps when you're living with someone. And finally, Noah. Noah bro. You told her it was window shopping. You don't get to act heartbroken now. Mason deleted the story 15 minutes later. That Friday, Gloria texted me. Gloria, sweetheart. Can I stop by? Tomorrow I need to talk to you. When she arrived, she looked exhausted. The kind of tired that seeps into your bones. Danielle. Honey, she said, holding the mug of coffee I'd made her like it was a lifeline. Mason isn't doing well. Define not well. I said carefully. He's convinced you and Noah are together. He's been saying things. Talking about suing you for emotional distress. He quit his job yesterday. I blinked. He quit his job. Gloria nodded. He says he can't focus because of the trauma. I stared at her. He spent 18 months on dating apps. I know. She sighed. I'm not defending him. He's my son. I don't know what to do. I softened a little. You didn't do this? Gloria. He did. She nodded. Eyes wet. Can you at least let him get his things supervised? Frank and I will come with him. Fina. I said. Saturday, 2 to 4. I'll be here. She squeezed my hand. Thank you. After she left, I sat at the kitchen table for a long time, staring at my half-empty mug. I should have felt triumphant, vindicated. Instead, I just felt done. Done pretending, done explaining, done cleaning up the mess someone else made and calling it love. Saturday couldn't come soon enough. Saturday arrived clear and cold, the kind of day that looks calm from a window but bites the moment you step outside. I woke early, made coffee, and double-checked every lock, every drawer. I didn't want anything left that he could claim as his. By 2 o'clock sharp, the knock came. When I opened the door, I saw not just Mason, but his whole family. Gloria, pale and anxious, Frank, grim and silent, and Tony, his older brother, broad-shouldered and wary. Afternoon, Tony said quietly. We're just here to keep things calm. I nodded. Appreciate it. Mason wouldn't look at me. He brushed past, jaw tight, heading straight for the bedroom. Gloria followed. Wringing her hands, Frank stood near the door, arms crossed, like a security guard in his own son's storm. The first 15 minutes passed in tense silence, drawers opening, closet hangers scraping, the rustle of clothes being shoved into boxes. Then I heard it. Where's my necklace? Mason's voice. Sharp and high. I frowned. What necklace? He stormed out holding an empty jewelry box I'd never seen before. The gold chain my grandmother gave me. You stole it. I blinked. You never kept jewelry here. His face flushed. Don't lie. It was right here in my nightstand. Mason. Gloria started gently. You always kept Grandma's things at our house. No, he snapped, cutting her off. She took it. She probably sold it out of spite. Or gave it to Noah. I stared at him. You think I'm wearing your grandma's necklace around town? Are you serious right now? His eyes blazed. You and Noah think you can make a fool of me. But I see it. He's been after you since Christmas. Tony stepped between us. Mel. Chill. It's Mason. He barked automatically. Tony rolled his eyes. Whatever. Chill out. You're acting like a psycho. She's lying. They're together. No. We're not, I said, keeping my voice low but steady. And even if we were, it wouldn't erase the fact that you cheated for 18 months straight. He lunged. Not a swing. Not quite more, like he was trying to grab my arm. But Tony caught him mid-motion like a reflex, holding him back effortlessly. Okay, Tony said. Tone flat. We're done here. Let go of me, Mason snarled. Tony didn't. Mom? Dad, pack up what he actually owns. He's out of control. Gloria was crying softly now. Mason. Please stop. This isn't helping. Mason's voice cracked. She'll ruin me. I exhaled, finally feeling something colder than fear, pity. No. Mason. I said. You already did that yourself. He jerked in Tony's grip. But his brother hauled him toward the door like he weighed nothing. Come on, Tony muttered. We're leaving before you make it worse. Mason twisted to look at me, wild-eyed. You'll regret this, you'll never be happy. Noah's just using you. He's always wanted what I have. I couldn't help it, I actually laughed. What you had. Mason. Pestinze. That made him scream, a hoarse, broken sound that followed him down the hallway until the door slammed behind them. Frank paused on the threshold. I'm sorry, he said quietly. For everything? Gloria couldn't even look at me. She just whispered, We'll talk soon, and followed them out. When the door closed, the silence rang like church bells. I stood in the middle of the living room, heart pounding, and realized I wasn't shaking anymore. It was over. Not in the dramatic, movie-ending way, just over. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Noah. She just accused me of stealing Grandma's necklace. The one Mason sold 2 months ago for concert tickets. Me, he sold it. Noah Yip. Told me not to tell Mom. Sold it on Poshmark for 200. I've got screenshots. He sent them the listing, the messages, even a shipping confirmation. I forwarded everything to Gloria with one line. Just in case he tries to file a police report. Her reply came a few minutes later. Thank you, sweetheart. We're getting him help. I stared at the message for a long time. Help. That word sounded a lot like damage control. But maybe she meant it. Maybe Mason really had slipped into something worse than immaturity. Something that looked like self-destruction, wearing pride as armor. Sunday morning. I woke to chaos. My phone was blowing up. Sophie girl. Did you see it, Maria? He made a TikTok. Ethan, you need to check this. My stomach dropped. I opened the app. There he was, Mason. Face puffy. Eyes red. Sitting on the floor of what looked like his parents' guest room. The caption read, When your ex destroys your life because you wanted independence, the video played over a melancholy song. With Mason mouthing along, you don't know what you have until it's gone. I actually laughed out loud. The comments section was a war zone. Otzlaila. Loves. Independence equals cheating. Now, at Mariah. XO, this ain't trauma. It's consequences. At Noah Rodriguez. You literally told her you weren't serious. Bro. Pick a lane. At Sophie Wright's Girl Boss Energy. From Danielle TBH. By noon, it had 12,000 views. By 3, it was deleted. But the internet doesn't forget. Someone screen recorded it and posted it on Twitter with the caption, Tell me you're delusional without telling me you're delusional. The replies were brutal memes. Jokes. Duets. People reenacting his window shopping line. I should have been horrified. Instead, I felt free. I hadn't needed revenge. He'd done it himself. That night, Noah texted again. Noah, you okay me? Yeah. Weirdly calm. Noah, you deserve calm. I smiled. Me, how's your mom? Noah embarrassed. Tired. Cooking lasagna. Like it's penance. Me, lasagna fixes everything. Noah, almost. Coffee fixes the rest. You still owe me that one. Remember? Me, yeah. When the dust settles, Noah, good. I'll bring the blue shirt. I stared at that message longer than I meant to. Then I turned off my phone, set it face down, and let myself fall asleep for the first time in months, without wondering who else's messages my boyfriend was reading in bed. The next morning, sunlight hit my pillow. No anxiety, no waiting for his footsteps in the hall. Just silence, peaceful, uncomplicated silence. I didn't realize until then how heavy noise had been. 3 months later, if you'd told me back then that the wreckage of my relationship would turn into the quietest piece of my adult life, I would have laughed in your face. But here I am, same apartment. New locks. New furniture. New stillness. And somehow, everything feels lighter. Mason, he's gone. Literally, after the TikTok fiasco. After the viral comment wars. After the memes calling him Mr. Window Shopper spread like wildfire. He quit social media altogether. Then his job. Then, apparently, the state. Tony told me he moved to Colorado to live with their aunt. Fresh start, he'd said. New city. Same excuse. Mason was still on the dating apps. Still telling people his last girlfriend went crazy. He learned nothing. Of course. Some people mistake chaos for personality. Gloria and Frank sent me a card a few weeks later, handwritten, trembling script. Dear Danielle, we're deeply sorry for everything you endured. You didn't deserve it. Thank you for handling things with grace. Even when our son didn't. Love. Gloria. Frank. Tucked inside was a check for $80 to replace the mug. Mason broke. I never cashed it. I keep it in my drawer, a quiet reminder that accountability sometimes skips a generation. But decency doesn't. As for Noah and me, well, yeah, we're together now. Before you judge, hear me out. We didn't rush. We didn't leap from one mess into another. We took 2 months of nothing, but texting, not flirting, not hinting. Just existing. Talking about movies, books, weird family habits, and how hard it is to unlearn being someone's apology sponge, then coffee. Just one, then another, by the third. He deleted his dating apps without me asking. Just slid his phone across the table and said, "This is what commitment looks like to me." I didn't know whether to cry or laugh. I ended up doing both. Now we see each other a few times a week. Separate apartments. No shared leases. No blurred boundaries. Gloria and Frank, no. Of course. It's awkward, but oddly supportive. Frank calls us the upgrade. Gloria makes lasagna every Sunday and insists we come by as friends. For now, Tony thinks the whole thing's hilarious. He once told Noah, "If you break her heart, I'll take her side too." Even that made me laugh. Every so often, Noah catches me checking his phone, not snooping. Not really. Just reflects. He never flinches. He just turns it toward me. "Here," he says. Nothing to hide. And there never is. He gets it. He saw what his brother's kind of dishonesty does to someone, The ring money, the one I'd been saving quietly, thinking Mason was the one it went somewhere better. Index funds. Diversified. Already up 12%. Better return on investment than a doomed engagement. Sometimes I still get random DMs from strangers. Screenshots of old posts. Hey, are you the girl from the TikTok queen behavior? Honestly. Window. Shopping. Classic. I don't reply. I don't need to. The internet already wrote the ending for me. Last weekend, Noah and I sat on Gloria's porch after dinner. The sky was bleeding gold and pink. Cicadas humming like a soundtrack. He handed me a glass of wine. You ever think about how weird this all is? All the time. I said, your mom apologizing for your brother's dating apps wasn't on my 2025 bingo card. He laughed. Low and genuine. I mean, you turned the worst night of our lives into something that actually makes sense now. I looked at him. At the way the light caught his face, the same family eyes. But none of the arrogance behind them. Funny, I said. I used to think revenge meant winning, making someone sorry. He tilted his head. And now I think it just means not caring anymore. He smiled. Small and knowing. That's the real victory lap. We sat in silence for a while. The kind that doesn't need filling. Gloria's voice called from inside. Dessert's ready, and don't think I didn't see you two holding hands out there. Noah groaned. She's never going to let it go. She doesn't need to. I said. Standing. Some stories don't need revenge arcs. Just better endings. He grinned. You and your poetic monologues. Someone's gotta narrate the movie. He laughed, reaching for my hand again, and this time, I didn't hesitate. If Mason ever reads this, and I know he still checks my name online, hi, thank you for showing me exactly what I don't want in a partner, for turning not that serious into a mantra I use to measure my worth against anyone who makes me feel small, and for being so spectacularly awful that your brother looked like redemption by comparison. The best revenge isn't exposure. It's peace. It's Sunday, dinners without anxiety, coffee dates without second guessing, love that deletes its apps before you even have to ask. Turns out, not that serious was the best gift you ever gave me.